Hey guys, MBSC1 again, and I'm just going to be talking about my league challenge that I went to on Tuesday in San Francisco. It was at the Mew Tuesday League, and I ended up placing second, which is pretty good, I think, because Joe Sanchez and Dolan Fell were there. And those are considered two of the best players in California. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. My one loss ended up being to Dolan Fell, which is not a big surprise to me. Oh, excuse me. I think if I could have just drawn better, actually, I could have beaten him, but couldn't hit my Lysander at the right time. But I'm just going to talk about how each of my rounds went. So I was playing Trevenant Accelgor, which is a pretty risky play. If you've ever used the deck, you'll realize that you lose pretty much every game to Risen Genesect. So it was kind of a risky deck to use. But I didn't think there was going to be very much Risen Genesect, and I figured if I just went against one Risen Genesect, and then the rest of the time didn't go against Risen Genesect, I would probably just beat everything, which is kind of what happened. In my first round, I went against this girl. I think she was new to the game. She was playing kind of a strange deck with just like Shaman and Darkrai and Bouffalant and Keldeo and something else. But either way, I just basically locked her Keldeo active and then did a bunch of damage for a couple turns and then used Sinister Hand to knock out three Pokemon EX in one turn. So I took 6 prizes in one turn to win the game, which is always fun. So yeah, I won that round. It was pretty easy. She was new though, so I'm not feeling so proud about that win or anything like that. But anyway, round 2, I was against this guy using a big basics Dusknoir deck. I guess somebody top 32 nationals with that. I saw Puka posted a video about that, and I guess he liked the idea. But he wasn't running the list that Puka posted. It was kind of his adaptation of it. There was no Registeel, and I believe there was no Damage Pellet Dusknoir either. It was just kind of more of a streamlined version. And then I basically just locked his Mewtwo active and hit it with my Mew over and over, deck and covering. So that was a really easy win. Also, he didn't have anything to deal with Trevenant Accelgor, and if you don't have like Keldeo or something to deal with my deck, then you're probably just gonna lose to it. Yeah, so that was a pretty easy win. Then round 3, I'm against Dolan. This is one of my tougher matchups, but I think I can win it anyway. I just need to hit my Lysander, and after this tournament, I realized that I need 2 Lysander, or else this is kind of a pretty bad matchup. So I changed that after the tournament, but during the tournament itself, I didn't realize that I needed 2 Lysander. I thought the one was okay. But after playing our game, I realized that I really need the 2 because I just kept beaching and drawing cards, and I couldn't hit my Lysander the whole game. And all I really needed to do was hit my Lysander because after that I can just lock his Keldeo in the active position and deck and cover it with my Accelgor hitting for 110 every turn, and then he can't rush in and retreat and then keep attacking my Trevenants and one-shotting them because they're weak to Dark. So because of that, that's what he did. He just kept rushing and retreating so that he wasn't paralyzed and poisoned, and then just knocking me out. And so, yeah, by the time that I finally got enough damage on board to knock out his Keldeo, he was already down to 1 prize, and I had 1 Skyla in my hand, but no other supporter, so I had no way of really continuing the lock. And the only Pokemon that I could wall with was Sigilif, so he could keep playing items. Yeah, so even then I could have possibly won, but if I just had a Colress or a Juniper instead of that Skyla, because I could have locked something in the active position, but it didn't work out. He probably would have played a switch or something like that to get out of it anyway. Excuse me. But it was a good game, and congratulations to him because he ended up winning the tournament. So good job, Don. And then round 4, I went against my buddy Michael, and he just gave me the win because he had 1 win he had 1 loss and 1 tie. So it was unlikely that he would make top 4. There was one person that got 1 loss and 1 tie that made top 4, but he realized that it was unlikely that he would, and so he just gave me the win, which was really nice of him because he was playing a deck that was a really bad matchup for me. Not really bad matchup for me, but it's like, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's like 35-65 in his favor. So it was just like a TDK deck, but it had Virizion in it and 4 Rainbow and 4 Prism. so I can't really paralyze or poison any of his Pokemon because of that until I knock out his Virizion, which probably won't happen until like turn 5 or 6. So that's a really bad matchup for that reasoning. And then he also played Lugia, which hurts my deck even more. Yeah, so we actually played out our game and I lost, but I I mean he gave me the win, so whatever. um, and then we went to round 5, and I know that if I just win this round, that I can actually still get first place. So I went against my other friend Andy Hune, and he didn't want to give me the win, which is totally acceptable. I mean, that was really nice of Michael. I don't expect all my friends to give me the win. That's just stupid. But you know, he can still make top 4 too. So this was actually kind of an important match. So I play against him, and then I start with Sigilif, and then an Accelgor, or not an Accelgor, a Shelmet, and a Mew on my bench, and I'm going first, and I draw. I've got no supporters. I don't know what to do, so I just attach a double colorless to Mew and pass. And then he starts with Tepig, draws, attaches to Tepig, and tackles me for 10 damage. Then I draw, put down Accelgor, pass. He goes, draws, passes. I go, draw, pass. Then he attaches an energy to Tepig and does 30, which doesn't matter at all, actually. And then I draw and get the Skylar for a Floatstone Retreat, and deck and cover a Tepig for 60 damage and win the game, which is the stupidest way to win a game ever. But if you look at it this way, I would have pretty much won that game 90% of the time anyway, because he doesn't have any. He told me afterwards that he didn't have any Pignite, so he can't ever get Emboar into play because I just item lock him the whole time. So he definitely would have lost that match anyway. He doesn't have Keldeo either, so yeah, it's a really bad matchup for him. So yeah, that's how it went with Trevenant. After the tournament, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, this deck just doesn't really have any bad matchups. I don't understand why people aren't running it. I mean, Virizion Genesect obviously is a horrible matchup, but TDK with Virizion isn't very popular. And even Michael, after the tournament, took out his Virizion, realizing that he's better off just running 4 Blend, no Rainbow, and no Virizion, because Virizion kind of just hurts you anyway, because you have to attach the Rainbow energy and take 10 damage, even when you're not against a deck that has lasers. So it's, in my opinion, it's more helpful to have Blends. And it does kind of hurt your consistency not being able to attach all of your energy to Deoxys to Helix Force, but you're better off using blends. Yeah, me and him came up with a list for TDK that we both think is really solid. It actually doesn't run any Hypnotoxic Laser, which is pretty strange. If you've seen most lists run 4 lasers and 1 or 2 Burbank City Gym, but we saw this guy Kianamani running TDK the next day, and we noticed he wasn't running any lasers, and we were like, that's really strange. And so we decided just to put every card that we wanted into TDK. When you're trying to fit all the cards into the deck, you have to cut space somewhere, and you're like, what do I take out for this and what do I take out for that? Well, we just decided we'll take out 6 spots for lasers and just put in whatever we want for those 6 spots, and then have a really consistent list. And that's what we did. So we ended up with 14 supporters, which is perfect. 4 Muscle Band, so that you can get it turn 1 every game. 4 Colress Machine, so that you can get turn 1 Colress Machine every game. 14 Energy, so that you never miss your attachment. 4 Ball cards, so 2 Plasma Ball and 2 Ultra Ball. 4 Kyurem, 4 Deoxys. And yeah, I think that's about it. There was some other stuff we had. Oh, we also fit 4 Switch and 1 Escape Rope. The 1 Escape Rope is really nice too. That was his idea. I kept telling him to change it out for a Catcher because I thought Catcher was better, but I think the Escape Rope's a really good idea because it also works as a 5th Switch, so that you can switch out in Blizzard Burn again. So that's a really cool idea. If you haven't tried Escape Rope in TDK, you might want to try it. Also fit 1 Lysander and 2 Catchers in the deck, which is really nice. So with all that, we can still Blizzard Burn every turn because we have 4 Muscle Band and 4 Deoxys, and all you really need on a Kyurem is a Muscle Band and 3 Deoxys on the bench, and you one-shot any Pokemon EX that has 170 HP. And you can get the fourth Deoxys down sometimes if it has 180 HP. But normally, if it has 100 HP, you're just gonna want to Frost Spirit once, and then on the next turn Blizzard Burn it, or use Thunderous' attack and then hit it with Blizzard Burn on the next turn. So that's a really interesting list, and I think I'm gonna post it soon. After I test it out, I'm gonna test it out tomorrow at my league and see how well I can do with it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do pretty well with it, because the only real competition at my league is a guy running big basics. I mean, there's some people that are pretty good, but the best player there is running big basics, and TDK has a great big basics matchup. I don't think I really have bad matchups anywhere else besides. I don't have bad matchups against anyone. And also the time restraints make TDK slightly better because if you run out of time, TDK tends to be ahead on prizes. It wins the games quickly, so that should work out pretty well. I kind of just went on a TDK rant there. That's not about my LC at all. But anyway, during day 2, I'll just make this more quickly because it's already been almost 11 minutes. Day 2 was in Concord, California, and we went down there to, I can't remember the name of the store, but Kianamani was there again. Or no, Kianamani wasn't there on Tuesday. I'm sorry. I meant to say Joe Sanchez and Dolan Fell were there again. So they were both running the same decks, which kind of surprised me. I figured they would switch decks because they knew that a lot of people were coming there from the same day. But I guess they just figured nobody would really tech against their decks on day 2. And they were right, because Dolan Fell ended up winning again. So 2 LCs in a row, that's pretty good for him. And he's running a really awesome deck. But Keon was running that plasma deck without lasers, like I said. And he ended up going 4-1 and getting 2nd place, I think. So yeah, Keon Amani is also among the top 5 players in California. I think it's like Stefan Tobacco, Keon Amani, Joe Sanchez, Dolan Fell, Chris Silver, and I bet there's other people up there in like the top 10. I don't know what they are honestly though. If there's probably some really good California players that I'm just leaving out of there, and sorry about that. But anyway, the point is there were some really good players there, and I was using Hydreigon, which ended up being a bad idea. I just thought it would be good because it had been working for me, but I think the deck is more like tier 1.5 now. I know I posted that video about Hydreigon and how great it is and how much I love it, but after using it a little bit more, I think the deck is probably tier 1.5. You can still win tournaments with it and do well, but the metagame has to be pretty good for it, and I find that it doesn't have as good a matchup against Yveltal as I thought it would. It used to be, if you have Hydreigon here and Darkrai here, Hydreigon is going to beat Darkrai like every time. But now that Yveltal's out, Yveltal can do more damage and doesn't max out at that 110 like Darkrai does. So it can just set up while you set up and then just do more damage than you and one-shot all your Pokemon. Which is basically what happened to me against Dolan in my 3rd round. And then I actually had 2 losses, but my other loss was really stupid. So I'll just go through this really quick. Round 1, I go against Greninja Miltank and just destroy it. Round 2, I go against... What did I go against? Oh, Virizion Venusaur, Mega Venusaur, and just destroy that too. And then round 3, I go against Dolan, lose to that because I misplayed. I had a Muscle Band in my hand, and he had Zoroark active because he was playing a dark deck with 2/2 Zoroark. It was a really cool idea. I guess that's his counter to Pyro. He also has a Super Rod, so I guess he figures if he can just take out he can take one knockout on the Litleo, and then take the rest of his knockouts with his Zoroark line, then he can deal with Pyro. So that makes sense to me. Plus he has the lasers. So that's a good idea for Pyro counter because Zoroark's good anyway. But anyway, yeah, I had a Muscle Band, and I could have attached it to my Landorus retreated, and then I'd done 100 with Landorus to knock out his Zoroark, but instead I attached the Muscle Band to my Darkrai and do 110 that way. And my Darkrai already has 1 damage counter on it, so that actually, having the 3 energy and the 1 damage counter is enough energy and damage in play so that he can just Evil Ball my Darkrai and get rid of 3 energy in play. And then if I would have brought up the Landorus, it only would have had 1 energy on it and no damage counters, so I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have one-shotted that. So I could have conserved 3 energy, but I made that misplay, which pretty much cost me the game. And then on top of that, he also catchered up my Hydreigon and knocked out, and I couldn't get another Dino in play before he did that, which was really unfortunate. But yeah, it was ugly. It was a really ugly game. But in hindsight, I really should have just played Trevenant Accelgor day 2 with 2 Lysander, and then taken out the 2 of my Skylids for a Colress and a Juniper, which is what I ended up doing because that is really good. Some people think Skylid's good in that deck, and it really is not good in that deck. You want to have draw support the entire game, and you want to hit a lot of cards, which is also why I run the 1 Pal Pad, so that I can use Colress 6 times in a game, because that's really what I want to do. I've got 9 balls in the deck, so you can Colress for like 6 turn 1. And most of the time you will Colress for like 4 if you get it turn 1, so excuse me. Colress is great in the deck, and I think 4 is definitely warranted. So yeah, I lost in my 3rd round. Then my 4th round, I go against this guy running Yveltal Garbodor, and ooh, voice crack. I start with a Dino, a lone Dino, and I go first, and I have no supporters in my hand, and I just kind of laugh and say pass, and then he drops his baby Yveltal, attaches a Dark Energy to it, and plays N, and I say, okay, if he draws what he needs, I lose, but if he doesn't draw what he needs, he just end me, so I can make a big comeback, and maybe not dead draw the whole game and lose. But I still drew nothing with no supporters again. Even though I run enough supporters in the deck, I dead drew 4 out of my 5 games that day, which doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, he draws the laser and the Burbank and just one-shots my Dino on the first turn, and I got donked. So that's fun. So I lost round 4 because of that. And then we actually played just a game for fun afterwards to see how it would have went, and then I won. And I'm like, come on, man. That sucks. If I could have just drawn a supporter, I would have been fine. I do run 11, so I guess I'll have to up that to 12. I did run 12 in Trevenant Accelgor, and I didn't run 12 in Blastoise too, so I guess 12 is what you should run. But 11 had been working for me pretty well. But I guess I need more. If you dead draw 4 out of your 5 games, not even just dead drawings, literally starting with no supporter in your hand. I started with no supporter in my hand 4 out of 5 times on that day, on that league challenge, which is crazy. That never happens to me. That's never happened to me before, ever. Yeah, man. N helped me out a lot that time because people just end me out of these dead hands, and I was like, oh, thank God. No, I don't lose on the first turn, but unfortunately my opponent went second, so they couldn't end me out of that hand anyway. But they would have if I went second. Might have been able to come back from that. But anyway, and then round 5, I go against my friend Lorelei. She's another Team Ultra member. If you don't know, my team is Team Ultra. I'm kind of the leader of it, I guess. But yeah, it's me, my buddy Michael, Lorelei, and then a bunch of other friends of ours. And so, sort of funny, the same idea as my round 5 yesterday, actually. I start with Suicune, actually, and then she starts with Darkrai, and I'm going first, so I just attach a Rainbow to Suicune, pass, she attaches a Darkrai, I attach Suicune, she attaches Darkrai, I attach the Suicune, and neither of us get a supporter this entire time, and then I Colress for 2, don't hit anything, and then just use Aurora Beam. Then she Colresses, oh no, I Colress for 1, and then she Colresses for 2, and doesn't hit anything, and I just Aurora Beam 3 times at Darkrai, and knock out the only Pokemon in play and win that way. So, this, man, supporters this format. Supporters are so important. 14, you gotta run 14, man. If you're gonna run an evolution deck, you gotta run 14. Or not 14. I'm so wrong. I meant to say 12. What am I thinking? 14. You got 3 Tropical Beach. That's ridiculous. But yeah, I guess that's how it went. I ended up with 12 CP from day 1. I don't know how much you get for first, but I think you get like 20. So it's a pretty big difference. Kind of sucks that I didn't end up taking first day 1, but it does make sense. Yeah, man, if I just would have added that second Lysander, I would have taken that whole tournament. I know I would have. But hindsight's 20/20, I guess. So thanks for watching. Like if you like the video, comment for more, and subscribe if you want to tell me something. Also, if you guys want, if you have any ideas for videos I could make, if you want an updated Trevenant Accelgor list or more insight about the deck or just how to run it or anything like that, I'm really good with the deck now because I tested with it for probably like 24 hours of playtime before the tournament because I was just practicing a ton with it. So maybe not 24, more like 12 actually. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.